What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel, Sin and Saint Collection. And today we have a very interesting topic. We'll be touching base on media darlings in music and specifically hip hop. We'll talk about what is a media darling, who are the media darlings of today's times, how does one become a media darling, and how does this impact the listeners? How does this impact the artists? How does this influence how we perceive these artists and how we listen to these artists? I think I have some interesting topics and viewpoints to give you guys today. So I think you guys will really enjoy this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Who do you think are some media darlings? And how does that impact how you perceive their music? So let's get into it. So to give background on myself, I'm a journalist of 10 plus years. Written for everybody from BuzzFeed to MTV to PBS to local newspapers, everywhere from California to Virginia, other places that I've had spent time at. And media darlings are a thing. And I think that for the most part, people would assume probably that media darlings stem from something that the artist is doing to cater towards the media to get in their good graces. But in reality, from my viewpoint and my experience working in media and journalism, oftentimes it's actually not the artist doing. And mind you, when I put media darling tag on somebody, I'm not using it in a negative, condescending or derogatory terminology. I'm just acknowledging the fact that the media seems to be on their good side, or they're on the good side of the media, and that the media seems to oftentimes sing their praises or give them high acclaims and stuff of that sentiment, right? And before I got into journalism and media, I used to wonder, like, how does this happen? Why does it seem like there are certain narratives and sentiments around certain artists, and it seems like they can do no wrong, versus other people where I'm like, man, it seems like no matter what this artist does, they never get their fair shake, or they never get the same amount of grace or love from the media or from the internet, right? And there are a few things that go into this. So like I said, first and foremost, what is a media darling? A media darling is somebody who seemingly is always on the good side and in the good graces of the media in today's time, as well as the internet. Meaning, no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what project they drop, no matter if it's great, if it's not great, consistently, the media will sing the same acclaim and the same praises for this person. They will say whatever it is. If they will say everything is good. They'll only talk about positive things about the artist. They won't critique the artist. They won't say anything negative about the artist. Even when it seems to be on the wrong side of what everybody can actually see, the media will still ensure that they hold claim and put their fork and their stake in the ground of, we feel this way about this artist, and there's nothing that you can really do or say to change our mind about these artists, right? And you'll see it oftentimes where a disconnect, right? For an example of when you can spot a media darling is when there's a disconnect from what the people are saying and how the people are feeling, but the media is saying something completely different, right? For example, if an album releases and the masses are saying that they don't like it or they don't feel X, Y, and Z about it, but the media is saying, no, we think this about it, X, Y, and Z. We find it to be introspective and intellectual, and maybe you fans just don't have the mental palette and the musical capacity to understand what this artist is doing, X, Y, and Z. Don't get me wrong, sometimes that can be very true. Sometimes there are a lot of listener issues. However, when it seems to be consistent, like no matter what, you just don't ever see negative press on a certain artist. Even when negativity is in the face, or even when there are easily holes that can be poked at this artist, but you never see the media do it, it's for a numerous of reasons, and I'll get into why some of those reasons are, right? So some people that you may feel like are media darlings, and this isn't my personal who I like the most or my preference of who I like or dislike, right? I enjoy all artists. I listen to everything from rap to hip hop, country, Afro beats, house. Of course, I have my favorite artists that I listen to all the time, but I don't have a preference in regards to who I feel like people should support more than others. Like like in hip hop right now, of course, there's a big civil war between Cole, Drake, Kendrick, and stuff like that. Whoever you like, it doesn't bother me. Like there's an argument for each and every artist. They all are great in their own capacity. I enjoy all of them. I listen to all of them. whoever you prefer, that's just a personal subjective preference, right? Even with all of the music that has released in 2026, I've listened to Don album, Baby Keem, ASAP Rocky, Brent. I like all of it. So I don't really I just enjoy the music. I don't get too invested into like I'm riding or dying for one specific artist and I'm gonna hate another artist. Naturally as a human you have your favoritism that you give towards certain people, but it doesn't get in the way of my objectiveness. So don't take anybody that I name as personal. But for example, someone that you could say right now is a media darling would be Kendrick Lamar. Mind you, Kendrick Lamar is everything who he says he is and who fans believe him to be. He is one of the greatest rappers of all time. He is one of the best of the generation. He is a lyrical beast. He has a great catalog. He has classics. So me saying Kendrick is a media darling is not me insulting him. That's just me acknowledging that the media, he's in good graces with the media. Or you could say somebody like a Frank Ocean used to be that, right? Or Tyler the Creator seems to be that, right? There was a time where Drake was that. There was a time where Cole was that. And the thing about the media darling argument is that it's fickle. It changes. Media is fickle. Fans are fickle. The internet is fickle. It changes depending upon where you're at in your career, right? So, for example, when the Tory and Meg situation happened, the internet really loved Tory up until that point. You know what I mean? He had his little spats here and there because of being from Canada, having an issue with Drake and stuff like that. But Tory had made a lot of waves with his mixtapes and stuff like that, or remixing people's songs. And at the time, oh man, the internet killed him. The internet ate him up alive. And then once you start to see the pendulum swing a little bit against Megan Thee Stallion, and then you had these allegations about Rock Nation, maybe falsifying some things, X, Y, and Z. Then you start to see the media switch a little bit. You saw the internet switch a little bit. This is just an example. I don't know the details of that case at all. I'm just giving you an example of how you can see how fickle fans or the internet or media can be. When Drake first came out, it was singing all praises. It was all acclaims at X, Y, and Z. And then after a while, after he became a certain level of successful and famous, and people started to feel certain ways about things that he may or may not do, you started to see the internet change a little bit, or you started to see media coverage on him change, right? They didn't talk about him with the same tonality and the same voice. They graded him on a different standard. Same with Cole. Cole was viewed as he would get harsh reviews on the internet and from the media for a while. And then he had like the whole FJ Cole movement with Lil Pump and Lil Yachty. And then there was a time where the pendulum swung. And when he started to go on his feature run and, his best rapper alive run, you started to see the internet change their tone about him. And you started to see media cover him differently. And then after the battle, him apologizing, you saw another change, right? And mind you, that was based upon actions that he did, or usually these things can be based on actions that take place. But the fickleness, it changes. And the fickleness stems from whatever media wants to be on the right side of things. They want to be in alignment with what the fans are saying or what the internet is saying. So they're going to say things whether they mean it or they don't mean it, to be on the right, seemingly on the right side of things. Right now, oftentimes this is not to do with anything. This isn't anything to do with the artist. Sorry, guys. This isn't an artist issue. This usually stems from just these artists having a good PR team or a bad PR team, right? So, for example, if you have a good PR team, you have a good manager, you have a good public relations person on your side, or you work with a very good marketing agency, you have a good stylist, a good DJ, whatever the case may be. These people, it is the PR. It is quite literally PR's job to get you media coverage and get you positive media coverage. If you work in PR, if you're a PR person and you have an artist, it is literally your job to send out press releases, to make relationships and connections with journalists and media publications and blogs, internet influencers, whoever it is. It is literally your job to get out positive press on your artist that you're representing. So, therefore, if your team is doing their job correctly, then you should be in the good graces with the media. The media will say good things about you and positive things about you, right? If your PR team is doing their job, and it's even the PR team to make sure that you're not doing anything that people can take out of context, or make sure that you're not doing anything that will put you in bad graces with the media. So sometimes even when you see artists who are seemingly, mysterious and they don't speak or they don't do interviews, sometimes that's not even their own doing. Sometimes the PR team knows, hey, for your type of music, your type of demographic and audience, and even your personality, it is safer and better for you to stay away from internet, stay away from interviews, stay away from the blogs. It serves you better to you to sit back and let us do all of your PR, right? And again, if they're doing their job correctly, then they will get you positive coverage. And also, you also have to look at this from a human perspective, right? So me as a journalist, I get pitched press releases all the time from PR agencies, from PR people at labels, from managers, and it does impact you. As a human, right? You have to try to navigate your human bias and subjectiveness and favoritism while also keeping your journalistic morals and ethics and principles. But it happens, right? So, for example, I've written articles before where, for example, I've done listicles, right? Like 20 artists you should listen to, or 20 best artists right now, or something like that. And how it will work is a PR person for an artist, they will send you a press release. Hey, this is all the information on this artist. This is some good stuff. This is some singles. This is some songs. This is their story, X, Y, and Z. If you want to meet them, you want to interview with them, let me know, blah, blah. It'll even go as far as, hey, come to this event, come to this studio session, come to this listening party. Here's a box of merch, all type of stuff. Like this, it happens. I've received everything. I've been to studios, listening parties, album release parties. I've gotten merch. I've gotten all type of stuff. It's just a part of how it goes. It's not like the NCAA where it's like all of this stuff is just illegal. Like this is fine, right? But where it becomes an issue again is when you have to try to balance your human favoritism with your journalistic ethics. So it's natural. If I'm writing an article of 20 artists, 20 new artists you should listen to, and I'm cool with the PR agency at Warner Brothers Record, for example, I'm not, but let's just say I'm cool with a PR person at Warner Brothers and they represent an artist and they have sent me a box of that artist merch. They've let me come to an album release party. They've brought me to just the studio session, whatever the case may be, right? I may be more inclined now to include this artist on this list, even if I don't know this artist really, even if I'm not a fan, even if I don't think their music is that great. It's just how the game works. And it's not necessarily a wrong thing. It's just that this PR person has done their job. They made their connection with me. They made their relationship with me. They have, done their PR work in regards to press releases, X, Y, Z. Now, I haven't done this. I'm just saying that this can happen. I usually stay away from it, and I'm able to stay away from it because I'm an independent contractor. So because I'm an independent contractor, I don't really owe any ties or loyalty to anybody or anything like that, right? And I'm not new to this. I'm not like a new journalist where I need to include certain people or I need to have connections or relationships. Like I can kind of do whatever I want. But if you're a young journalist or if you just have long-term friendships and bonds and connections with managers and PR people or DJs, and now it's like, hey, we have this rapper, Little Jeff. I don't know if that's a person or not, but we got Lil Jeff, the rapper, and hey, his DJ is inviting you out to the album release party. The PR person is sending you the press release and sending you a box of his merch. The manager is connecting you with him, and hey, if you want to meet him, he's gonna be here tonight. Blah blah. Like it's just how it works. And then next thing you know, when you do a list, this person may come to your mind like, hey, maybe I should put this person on a list. Or in that press release that you get from them, it'll say, hey, I'm sending this for consideration for any upcoming articles that you have. Or somebody like me, I'm an independent contractor, so they may pitch it to me to then pitch it to a Double XL or a Complex or a BuzzFeed or whoever the case may be, or Rolling Stone, right? That's how it works. Sometimes it's easier to pitch it to somebody like me, a freelance independent editor, independent contractor. That way you pitch it to me, I pitch it to my publication, I write about it, and now you didn't have to pay to get this advertisement or something like that, right? That's how it works sometimes. Again, I don't do that, but I'm just saying that is how it can happen. That is how it can work. So again, usually this just stems from a team having a good PR, right? Or if you have a person that's a good PR representative, and they have good relationships and connections with the blogs or with the radio stations and X, Y, and Z, and they're friendly, they have good bonds, connections, and like I said, friendships, relationships. It will prevent a radio person. It'll prevent a certain person from wanting to speak bad about that artist because it's like, oh man, well, yeah, Little Jeff is, the PR person for Little Jeff is, I don't know, is Derek. Derek is Little Jeff's PR manager. And I'm cool with Derek. Me and Derek been cool for 10 years. We've been to events together. He's invited me here and there. I don't want to really talk too bad about Derek's artist, Little Jeff. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to. I'm cool with Derek, and that's just how it works, right? Outside of, and this is only for when I'm not taking in consideration people's just favorites. Like, oh, if you're a radio person and you truly are just a super fan of this specific artist, or you just love whatever, right? I'm only talking about it from the media and public relations standpoint. That's it. But that's just how it works. And even when it comes to voting and awards, right? There are boards when it comes to voting for the Grammys or whatever else, a BET, MTV, right? And if a lot of these people are located in LA or New York or wherever the case may be, if there are more voters in one location, and these people, if there's 1,000 voters in LA, 500 in New York, and 100 in Atlanta, these 1,000 people who all live in LA, who all probably have intermingled with each other, been to events, they know each other, they know this artist, blah blah. So now it's like, oh, I've been hanging around the PR person Derek. We're cool. Now it's time for me to go vote for this Grammy, and I see his artist Little Jeff on here. Yeah, now I want to vote for Little Jeff, right? It's no different from at a 9 to 5. You have a list of candidates that you could potentially hire, and you see a name that looks familiar, and you're like, oh yeah, that's my old neighbor, or I know this person because they know that person. So now I'm going to give them an interview, or now I'm going to choose to hire them. Like, that's just how it works. Again, it works. Whether it's a 9 to 5 or it's the entertainment industry. This is how stuff happens. This is how stuff works, right? And that's just, it's not anything necessarily wrong with that per se. You know what I mean? But that is how somebody can get in good graces if they have a good PR team, right? You treat people well, or sometimes if you have good advertisement money, right? If Warner Brother pays for advertisement with Rolling Stone, and now Rolling Stone doesn't want to dwindle that relationship, that business relationship, so they don't speak super bad about their artists. That sometimes it just happens like that. And then you get into other stuff like demographics, right? I've been in numerous of writing rooms, numerous of publications. I've had numerous of editors. I would say majority of the time, without saying too much, I would just say most of them don't look like me. And what I mean by that is that I'm a black man from the South, right? And you could read between the lines and get what I'm trying to say. But so a lot of times you have people talking on the culture that don't necessarily reflect the culture. And I don't necessarily think that is a hard press, like people outside of the culture who don't look like us can't talk about the culture. I don't believe that at all, right? But at the same time, there is oftentimes a disconnect, because when you're talking about speaking from outside lens looking in, that's where it can be a disconnect. And again, you can be of any background and be in the culture per se. Like, you can be a hip hop fan, you can be a Peter Rosenberg, you can be a Kev, a bootleg Kev. There's plenty of people who, just being in the culture. You could be a Jeremy Heck. If you're a super fan, you're in the culture, you know what you're talking about, then it doesn't matter your background and where you're from or your ethnicity, anything like that, right? But there are times where people who aren't in tune with the culture, they're not fans, they don't know, they don't really have any connection to it, are given the task to write about the culture. And that's where disconnect can come from. I've been asked to write about stuff I don't know about. I've been asked to write about, this new K-pop artist. I don't know anything about K-pop, right? But it's been pitched to me before. And if I was to write it, it's no telling what I would say. I don't even know what I would say, right? I would probably honestly just do a quick scroll of the internet, come up with a conclusion, and write about it, right? And that is how I would form that article And I'm really, in reality, I'm misinformed because I don't know. I've never listened to the music. I don't know anything. I just did a quick stroll on Instagram, a quick scroll on TikTok. I looked at somebody else's YouTube video, and now I'm writing an article about it, and I'm adding to whatever it is. Right now, that's me partaking in the media darlingness because I'm just saying whatever everybody else is already saying without me actually doing my journalistic homework. And that happens. It happens. I've seen it happen time and time again. Right. And another part of that is regional demographics. So a publication that is located in LA is going to be significantly different than a publication that is from Atlanta. Right. So if Atlanta had a big media magazine or radio station or whatever the case may be, they may highlight somebody like a Rod Wave who sells out. I'm talking about arenas, not nationwide, but in a certain demographic in the South and the Midwest. He's selling 5,000 plus tickets a night. He's doing big first week numbers. He has dozens of hits in terms of like sales, gold records, platinum records, XYZ, right? But his demographic of his audience is usually South and Midwest, stuff like that. He doesn't have as much of an impact on the West Coast or like the New England area, like right above New York, stuff like that, right? So he may not get the same look. If BuzzFeed is asked to cover Rod Wave, they're not going to talk about him with the same regard that an Atlanta-based publication will talk about him, right? And most of the biggest media publications are in LA and in New York. So that's already a disconnect right there. And so fair representation in regards to demographics makes a big difference often. And sometimes even just where you're from, even if it's located in a certain area, the media headquarters is in a certain area, you will still need writers who have a wide range of demographics. People from the Midwest, from the South, from LA or the West Coast, X, Y, and Z, right? So demographics plays a big part in it. And if that media company is fully dedicated to one genre, like a double XL will probably give you more insights to real hip hop culture talk and journalism and sentiments, as opposed to say a Rolling Stone right now. Rolling Stone has good coverage. Rolling Stone has good journalism for sure, but Rolling Stone may have 1, 2, 3, 4 people tops who cover hip hop and R&B, as opposed to everything about double XL is about hip hop, right? So the whole culture, the whole environment, it's all about hip hop over there, as opposed to you get small elements and facets at other publications, and it doesn't resonate the same. It doesn't hit the same. So you have to pay attention to stuff like that, right? You have to pay attention to where is this publication located? Do they fully cover this, or do they just cover this, here and there? It's not actually their main point of interest, right? And also understand that publications, they want clicks. They want that helps their advertisement. The more clicks, the more reads they get, that helps their advertising dollars. Now, when they talk to people who want to sell on their platform or advertise on their platform, they need to write articles that are going to get clicks. They need headlines that will get clicks. They need to write articles in a format that will keep you there on that page for, say, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. If everybody's coming on the page and staying for 30 seconds and clicking away and exiting out, that looks bad when it comes to advertising now to companies. That's just how it works. We have these meetings. We talk about what headlines right now will give us clicks. How can we write the story in a way that's digestible enough for people to stay here, read it, and now our rate is better in terms of how long people are staying on the page. Like, that's just how it works. That's just journalism, and it's completely normal. That's completely fine and normal. There's nothing wrong with that. They also want to be on the right side with the fans and with the internet now. And I'm saying the internet, there used to be a time where blogs and media and radio and magazines kind of dictated the sentiments and the narrative around people. But now the internet kind of does, whether it's good or bad, the internet does it. And so now media, blogs, magazines, they want to be on the right side of the internet at this point, right? So oftentimes they're going with the internet narratives. They're going with the internet influencers. They're going with whatever the talk on Twitter is, which to me is wrong, because that is just a accumulation of people who are not doing the due diligence. And it is our job as journalists to do the homework and do the due diligence to tell people, hey, no, this is what you are missing. This is the information that you need. This is how you should be seeing it. You guys get to do the quick surface level listen. We're doing the actual dirty work to really understand what's going on, what this is, do a lyrical breakdown. Like I said, like you go listen to a Rob Marketing or What's the Dirt or Mimi the music blogger, and you'll see real information being given out, as opposed to like a quick tweet that is 37 characters, and they're trying to summarize the entirety of a project in one sentence. That's just not, it's not healthy. It's bad. It's bad discourse. It's not healthy. So it's wrong that media publications are now trying to get on the right side of the internet, but they want to be on the right side of the internet, or else you will get canceled, or else people won't listen to you. That's just how it is now, right? And it's the same way. If you're doing YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, you want to be on the right side of the internet. You want to put titles that will catch people's attention. You want to talk about stuff that people want to hear about. You want to be on the right side of a fan base. You want to cater to the right target audience. So it's the exact same thing with publications and media. They're no different, right? And being in good graces with internet influencers goes a long way. So if you are cool with the Joe Budden, if you get on the right side of a Joe Budden to where he talks about you in a certain regard, that can positively impact you. Or you get on the wrong side of Joe Budden, like when Logic, when him and Logic got into it and he went on a crazy campaign tearing down Logic, right? You don't want that, right? So you want to, if you are an artist, you want to have that relationship with Joe Budden, or you want your manager, your DJ, your PR person to build that bond with Joe Budden. So now when he talks about you or talks about your album, he gives you grace. He talks about you with a certain regard, right? And that's just how it works. Joe Budden has said himself, it's certain people I won't talk bad about. It's certain people who I have a certain respect for, a certain regard, a certain relationship with. And he's not wrong for that. We all are that way. I'm that way. If I had to make a video about somebody who did something wild in the public, but I personally know them, I'm going to give them a certain amount of grace that I may not give somebody else. That's just how us humans operate. You know what I mean? And when you get on the wrong side of the internet, you can become the opposite of a media darling for a long time. I remember when Wale crashed out on Complex because they didn't include his album in like the best albums of the year or something like that. I think it was 2013 or 2014. And it took Wale years to get good media coverage again. Wale was getting crushed with bad media, right? And now you're starting to see media give him more grace as time has passed, but he was in bad standing for a long time because of that. You'll see somebody like DaBaby get canceled for the stuff he does or on the internet, and now when media talks about him, they're talking about him in a certain regard, as opposed to can make the same. DaBaby may have made one song before he got canceled and the same exact song after he got canceled, and the internet and the blog will talk about that same exact song with two completely different tones. That's just how it works. Because it trains your ear differently when you dislike somebody, but also you want to say what people will agree with. You want to say what makes sense and is on the right side of the internet. That's just how it goes. And again, the internet is fickle. Media is fickle. When Chance the Rapper came out and it was looking like he was on his rise to be the next big artist, and then he he did have a bad album, Hot Shower. Well, no, that was a song, Big Day or something like that. It was a bad album and it got bad reviews. But it also didn't help that he was pushing the whole independent thing. And then the whole thing came out about him having to deal with Apple Music and like some other stuff, like his parents were tied to Obama. Like, not that had any impact, but it seemed like the internet started to unpack, like, hold up, maybe what we've been sold isn't the full truth. And you saw, of course, again, his album was bad, but you saw the internet switch. You saw the media coverage on him switch, right? And it has switched since then. You know what I mean? So it's fickle. It's fickle. But it's a fickle game. Like, it's not something to really to in regards to like headlines and stuff like that. Like, it's paid based. Paid media is a thing. Headlines and clicks are a thing. I remember one time I wrote an article for a publication, and it was about Nipsey Hussle and him passing away and getting a star on the Walk of Fame. And the headline that I wrote was Nipsey Hussle gets star on Hollywood Walk of Fame. I went back to look at the article after they edited it. They changed the title to Nipsey gets a Nipsey gets a star in Hollywood, and I'm literally tearing up. That was what they changed it to. Mind you, that is a prime example of one, they're trying to get clicks. That is a better Instagram looking piece. That is a better headline that will make somebody click. Whoever their target audience or their demographic is, that's how their listeners want to hear stuff or read stuff. But that's an example of a disconnect. The editor didn't look like me. The editor wasn't informed with our culture, right? So therefore, they think they're not recognizing we don't talk like that. We don't talk like that in our culture. We don't talk like that about certain people. Nipsey Hussle isn't a person that I'm going to talk about in that manner, right? Or to those type of words, right? And thankfully, because I'm an independent contractor, I was able to go and change it. Like, no, I'm not. We're not going with that. But that is just how it works. That's how these titles happen. That's how the clicks, the headlines happen. Hey, what's going to catch somebody's attention? Hey, what's going to get a click? Hey, what type of headlines does our demographic and our target audience want to listen to? What will catch their attention? And again, it can change. The journalist who wrote the story and the editor who edited it can be two completely different people from two different walks of life. And 9 times out of 10, they are. So, these disconnects happen, but everything that I'm saying is just to give you guys insight on how media works. And, in conclusion, again, 9 times out of 10, it's not the artist doing. It's that they either have a good PR team or they have a bad PR team. Because the same way that you can get in good graces with people, you can get in bad graces if your manager or your DJ or your PR person is doing a terrible job. If they're flaking on people, if they're not responding, if they're ignoring people, if they've pissed the wrong people off, right? So now when you talk about their artists, you may talk about them with a little more steam than you normally would, right? So these things happen. And, again, 9 times out of 10, it's not the doing of the artist. It's usually all about the PR team. It's about the relationships that they have or that they form, even when it comes down to voting and people who get awards, labels, blogs, X, Y, and Z. Again, you have to think about the demographics of these publications, who's working there, who are these people writing the stories, who is editing the stories, what advertisements does this media publication get, right? Do they get paid ads from these labels? Do they get paid ads from artists? So that dictates how they talk about certain people. Where is this media publication located at? What side of the internet are they on, right? Stuff like that. You just have to take into consideration all of that stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna give you guys more insights to where maybe I can actually show you some press releases that I've received and some articles that I've written or received, so you guys can see what that actually looks like in the process of it. But let me guys know in the comments what you think. How does media darlings? One, how do you feel about the term? How do you feel like it impacts how you listen to certain people? And how do you feel about the landscape of just media and the internet stuff overall? You guys let me know what you think below in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe. Let me know what else you want me to touch on that I can give insights to. Until next time.